Hello all, my name is Amy Stevens, and today I'm going to be talking to you about workplace communication for engineers. So we're going to talk about the background of my interviewees, their typical technical communication that they use on a daily basis, changes in communication that they've seen over time and due to COVID-19, and their writing processes and whatever advice they have for recent college graduates. So I don't know exactly what I want to do once I graduate. I still have a little time to figure it out. So I interviewed two people in different fields just to get a better baseline idea of what kind of communication engineers use. So first we have Anna Brody Fisher, who is the ash and groundwater manager of a group of solid waste specialists. She's been working for TVA for 3 years. Anna's team permits, monitors, and reports on ash landfills throughout the Tennessee Valley, ensuring TVA is complying with federal and state solid waste regulations. Lance Baxter is a family friend of mine who I've known my whole life. He is the branch chief of the Integrated Analysis Branch at Arnold Air Force Base, also called AEDC, in Tullahoma, Tennessee, my hometown. He manages a team of over 20 government and contractor employees who perform modeling and simulation tool development, facility systems analysis, and program analysis for the Department of Defense. So my first question was, what does your daily technical communication look like? So Baxter spends about 80 to 90% of his day communicating with his team. He primarily uses his laptop and his cell phone to produce a multitude of formal written communications, including memos and test reports. Fisher spends about 98% of her time communicating, since she is a manager and is focused on her team. But previously, whenever she was just doing engineering type work, she only spent about 75% of her day communicating, which is still a lot. Her team primarily uses email for communicating PowerPoint presentations and official letters, and they also use Power BI dashboards, which are an efficient way to communicate real-time data and milestones. And both companies, AEDC and TVA, use Microsoft Teams to collaborate easily. So here I have some examples of communication at TVA. So on the left is not specific to TVA, but it's an example of a Power BI dashboard because it is not something that I had seen before. But basically it's a dashboard that shows you whatever kind of data you want to put on it, but it includes a lot of visuals and less words, so focuses on the visuals and the graphics. But on the left is an official letter that Fisher shared with me, which you can see follows the guidelines of what's given in our textbook for standard communication in the workplace. So the next question I had was, what changes in technical communication have you seen over time? Both of my interviewees noted the transition from hard copy mail and phone calls to emails and scheduled video teleconferencing. So before just sending emails, Fisher's company used to send hard copy mails and electronic versions of that mail to companies, but they have not done that in about they've transitioned away from hard copy mail in the last 5 years. And she formerly traveled across Tennessee, Kentucky, and Alabama to meet with regulators, but now all meetings are done through WebEx. She also noted how federal cybersecurity restrictions have changed, so it's harder to share large electronic reports from TVA due to those restrictions. And Baxter pointed out how much less personal communication is now. Communication is shorter and more work-centered with fewer personal relationships being formed. So now that we have less face-to-face communication, there's less time and less focus on those interpersonal relationships that are important in the workplace. So my next question was, how has COVID-19 affected communication in your workplace? As this is our current reality and definitely something that I will probably face whenever I get into the work field, the lasting effects of COVID-19 on communication. So pre-COVID, emails were still the primary means of communication at AEDC. However, there's been an increased use of Microsoft Teams for meeting and collaboration purposes. Fisher explained that at TVA, her team used to work in cubicles to allow for easy collaboration and better social relations amongst coworkers. Now her team meets frequently via WebEx to work, but also just to chat occasionally. She mentioned that now when her team does get to meet, sometimes they find themselves just talking about whatever's on their mind because they don't have the same ability to talk face-to-face as they used to. So work time has also become more personal for them as a way to balance their old and their new methods of collaboration. And both engineers have been working from home for most of the year due to COVID-19. So my next question was, what does your writing process look like? Fisher's writing process involves a lot of collaboration. Her team consists of regulatory specialists, engineers, project managers, lawyers, and more. She takes data collected by her team and turns it into synergistic, effective presentations. And when communicating to higher-ups, Fisher says that she focuses more on visuals and graphics with instant meaning than on words. So that's where we see the things like the Power BI dashboards being very efficient means of communication. So Baxter's writing process also involves a lot of collaboration. And so it's important for him to remember his purpose and his audience. And he says, knowing who you're communicating to, reading from their perspective, and considering their context. So the previous communications they've received, what they already know, and who they are passing who they are passing this information along to, are all important things to consider to ensure that your communication is efficient. And my last question was, what advice do you have for a recent graduate? Baxter recalls learning his writing skills through lots and lots of practice and with the help of mentors. He also reminded me that you can be a very efficient engineer without being able to communicate properly, but you won't be nearly as effective or successful as you will be if you take the time to develop your communication skills as much as your analytical and technical skills. Fisher attributes her writing skills to various creative writing classes and her love of reading. She says that doing these has helped her find ways to make boring information more digestible and interesting. Because her company, as she says, lives and dies by Outlook, Fisher recommends developing an email organizational strategy as soon as possible, and this is something that I am going to start working on now, because I know that emails are not dying down anytime soon, and it's something that we all can easily get overwhelmed with. Fisher exclaims the importance of collaboration. From peer editing to sharing information, collaboration is the best way to establish trust and open communication in the workplace. Lastly, Fisher reminds us that when giving a presentation, you are the most knowledgeable person on the topic. Be confident even if you don't know all the answers. And if someone asks you a question that you don't know, It's totally okay to say, I don't know the answer, but I will find out and I will get back to you. And that's just as confident and reassuring, or if not more, than someone who pretends to know or doesn't know and is than someone who won't admit that they don't know all of the answers. So this concludes my interview with Anna Fisher and Lance Baxter. So I hope you enjoyed my PowerPoint on workplace communication. Thanks for watching.